Ladies and gentlemen, In Hindsight is back. We are back. Geez, I don't even remember what episode this number is. I believe this is episode 84. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But we are going to be talking about really what has gone down over the weekend, Thursday, Friday, with the NFL draft. I'm not going to be talking about the whole shebang, though. I'm going to be talking about the Steelers. I also have a special guest coming in quite a second here. He is my partner on Who Are These Guys podcast. Football fan himself. He's a Ravens fan. So you guys might be in for a good one. He thinks he is healthier than anybody. He thinks that his way of living is the way you should live. But really, at the end of the day, he eats chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, pizza. He's in the drive-thrus, all that kind of stuff like that. And he's really a walking hypocrite at the end of the day. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my partner, my co-host from Who Are These Guys, Zachary Hutchings, is here. Yeah, there's the photo. The famous picture. The famous picture. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely.
It's good to be here, man. It's good to be here.
Yep. I'm glad. I'm glad.
We all know the. I don't know if you even have that first photo of me cropped in the Oval Office.
Oh yeah, I have it somewhere.
We don't need to piss anybody off here.
Yeah. No, we don't. No, we don't. You know, there's sensitive people around this world.
Yeah, there is.
But you gotta like roughen her up a little bit. You gotta you can't just go like that.
What is he talking about?
There you go.
So his dog, who his girlfriend just despises, eyes popping out of her head.
Yeah, eyes popping out of the head.
Well, why don't you show her?
Yeah, why don't I show her? So here's the thing, Z. Do you remember when Roxy was younger? She really was welcoming to anybody.
Yeah,
that's really how she was. Now, since she's 9, hitting 10 years old, she just kind of likes the people that have been there.
Right.
Even with Ed and Noah, now when they come over, she's pretty acclimated to them. But even when they started coming over, early on, and I'd say it probably took probably maybe a year or two for her to really warm up to them.
Mm-hmm.
So even at that aspect, because she'll be 10. So I don't know. I think it's just as she's gotten older, I don't know, takes she's got she likes her little circle thing that she's always had. And then anyone else that's new coming in, then.
I like his dog. I got 2 dogs myself, 2 golden retrievers, but he has a little Chihuahua. So each dog is different, and each dog is different.
No. Yeah, they are. So I don't know, but we're not gonna have story time here. It doesn't need to be story time or anything like that. We save that for our other podcasts when we have a topic, and then we don't talk about it for 20 minutes. Till 20 minutes later. So, but Z, welcome to the channel. Welcome to In Hindsight. This is your first time on my personal channel.
Yep.
And I figured that you would come on and we would talk about a more in-depth process on the Steelers and Ravens drafts, where they're sitting, maybe where the AFC North is sitting. If you guys have not followed mine and Z's podcast, Who Are These Guys? It will be in the link below. Give it a sub. We talk about sports. We talk about video games. We talk about can really be anything. We talk about we've talked about the Disney Universal parks. So give that a follow, guys. I appreciate your support. For those who are new, welcome to my new subs. All you guys that are always here, appreciate you guys' support. I would eventually love to start going live on this channel at some points here, some points there. Get you guys involved. I know that we do that with the Unofficial Steelers podcast, but for my own channel personally, I would love to do that as well. But anyway, let's get into it, Z. So we had 3-day process of the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
And we know it's one of our favorite times of the NFL offseason, probably our favorite time of the NFL offseason.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think I like the draft more than free agency.
Oh,
Free agency
absolutely.
period. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what Z and I did on our other podcast, we made like our final mock draft before the draft. And then what we did was if we got the exact pick right, it would be 1 full point. And then like if there was a team coming up, but like the player that we had them going to was off the board already, or I don't know, whatever. And then if we got that pick right, it would be like half a point.
Yeah.
And so we did a little competition thing for a little bit of money, and I won that by like a half a point. But it was fun. It was actually the first time Z and I did that. But anyway, when we look at the NFL draft, I didn't really get to really talk too much about the Z from yesterday. And there's an explanation in the upcoming video of who are these guys just by the title alone. So
it very much turned into a nightmare.
Yeah, it really did. It just ended up really being a very bad day for me that day. So
let's just say N was on the cover of Pepto Bismol.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was not ideal. But Z, how did you feel before we get into Steelers and Ravens drafts, before we sit in here with the AFC North and stuff like that? How did you feel about the draft in general? Was it something that did it go the way you thought? Were there certain surprises? Did you think that this was a good draft? Did you think this was a great draft? How'd you feel about it?
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't great because,
but
I mean, it was fine. I mean, great crowd. I love the venue they were at. You know, I don't know. It's just like there have definitely been years in the past. People get different opinions, but there's definitely been years in the past where there's been more exciting first rounds and just drafts in general. Like I know, like last year, when AJ Brown got traded in the first round, that was kind of a shocker. Like this year, like there were no players, and I'm not saying like a player has to be traded like during the first round for it to be exciting, but yeah, I don't know. It just really seemed like not many, you know. I mean, I don't even know how many trades there were. I know the Steelers traded up, the Cardinals traded back, then traded up, but
right,
like really, to me, there weren't really any picks that really kind of blew my mind.
What about the Texans trading back to back to get back to back 2 and 3?
Yeah, that was definitely probably the most. I don't know what you would say. Like this is probably the most interesting part, the most intriguing part of the first round is seeing them trade back up for number 3. W for them for sure, taking 2 and 3.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought there were definitely better ones. I thought it was better than maybe some of the recent ones over the last 5 years.
Yeah,
but in terms of a Steelers fan, I will say I thought that this was the Steelers' best draft in quite some time.
Oh yeah,
and really around the league, the consensus around the league is that the Steelers arguably had the best draft. My draft grade for them is an A+. And Z will tell you how I am when it comes to Steelers drafts. Like there's been times I did not like their first round picks at all. Like he'll tell you. So I'm not a homer. I'm not biased when it comes to Steelers draft picks, but I think the way they went with it this year was different than the way they went about things prior years. Trading up for Broderick Jones, having the 32nd pick from Chase Claypool to get Joey Porter, Keanu Benton in the second round, and then grabbing a guy like Darnell Washington there in the third round. All 4 of those picks have the upside of being hits on all accounts for them. Now, when we look at years prior to the Steelers drafts, a lot of it was more conservative. A lot of it was more kind of predictable, right? This was the first year, I'd say, in probably maybe some recent memory where I felt the Steelers pick was pretty unpredictable because they were sitting at 17 and they were taking calls to try to move up. Are they going to stay at 17? And there was really a plethora of guys that they could have taken rather than years prior. You kind of know who they were going to go with, so that made it fun. And then even at pick 32, here it goes. They're doing a little White Iverson.
Yep.
Yeah. Jazz it thinks that the Bengals had an A+ of a freaking draft.
If you guys know who Jazz is on TikTok, I mean, it's just cringe.
Yeah, it really is. But he's entertaining at times.
Yeah, he is.
So you got to give credit. He's a Texas fan for every team except the Bengals. I don't know if you saw his video or not. He explained why he was a Bengals fan.
And he's a Kansas Jayhawks fan.
Yeah, Kansas Jayhawks fan. So, but anyway,
don't know where that comes from.
Not sure. But anyway, I will say that this was a fun draft for the Steelers. I think that the unpredictability factor, the direction they went, which they don't really quite always go, and you can thank Omar Khan and Andy Weidel for that, because you can see a little bit. Look at the offseason, look at the draft. It definitely had some of Andy Weidel's fingerprints on it, who came from the Eagles and helped build what they had there. And this Omar Khan just was aggressive. A lot of times Kevin Colbert just kind of sat there, let the cookie crumble, right? Same with free agency. But this was his first full free agency, his first full draft. And I think he had a pretty good all-around free agency, and I think he had a home run of a draft. So when you look at even some of their other picks, like Nick Herbig, they drafted in the 4th round. He's going to be that third edge rusher for them probably. I still see them signing an edge rusher that's still on the market though. But he's going to get an opportunity. And then their 2 7th-round picks, they got Corey Trice, who is a corner from Purdue, and then they got a tackle from Maryland. Tomlin loves his Maryland players. Spencer Anderson. So
whoever that is.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, they'll get opportunity. They'll get opportunity and stuff like that. Who knows just really what will all happen. We know a lot of times it's 7th-round picks. Sometimes it's flyers. Sometimes guys can maybe turn into something. A lot of times they don't. But it is what it is. I think the Steelers arguably had the best draft out of every team in the league. And as a fan, and I think probably every Steeler fan, it seems like, is pretty happy with the way they went about it. So Z, if you want to talk about the Ravens draft, you can go ahead and do that.
Well, no, I'll just pick up on the Steelers draft. I agree in the way of Omar Khan did a phenomenal job. Really what I kind of expected from the Steelers, or not even expected, predicted, I guess, with the Steelers. I kind of nailed. 1, I predicted them trading up, which they did. 2, I just had their first 2 picks mixed up. But regardless, they took the positions. I had a corner first. I had tackle second. Whatever. Tackle first, corner second. I had them taking Joey Porter Jr. With the 2nd pick, I had them taking Darnell Wright. But regardless, taking, it seemed like Darnell Washington maybe at the time was maybe like a best player available kind of move, which is totally fine. And then bringing in a third edge rusher when you have Highsmith coming on a contract year. I mean, you're who knows if you're gonna be able to resign him. So, bringing in somebody. I mean, we don't know what this guy's going to be, but having him be behind 2 guys, as long as there's no injuries, and I think, like you said, bringing a veteran would be the right move. Because if there is one, like, I don't want to insert a 4th-round rookie into my starting lineup. So, and then I mean the 2 guys in the 7th round, Jan. I mean, never forget when the Ravens took Aaron Millette. I think that was either in the 6th or 7th round.
Who?
Look him up. His name's Aaron Millette.
Aaron Millette.
Yeah, I thought he was the steal of the draft.
Yeah, there it is. Steal the draft. No reason to look him up, Z. He's nowhere to be found.
So the reason why I say that is because when the Steelers took Dotson a couple years ago, and was all over Twitter saying that was the steal of the draft.
I would love to find my tweet that I said that.
Well, you did.
I would love to find it.
Yeah, exactly. Say right here, right now that you didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, okay.
Filipponi did. I didn't.
You liked it.
Yeah. That doesn't mean I agree.
Oh man, Andrew Filipponi, one of those dumbest sports anchors that
absolutely is. Absolutely is.
And
then the guy you left out, Keanu Benton, he can be a starter week 1.
Yeah.
He's going to get opportunity to compete. He's a great. He's the Steelers 2 years ago had a really hard time stopping the run. They did a little bit better job last year, but still they needed some help up front, and he's a guy that can give them some of that, I think.
Yeah. So I think they did an outstanding job. I mean, I don't think anybody In reference to their 2 first picks, I don't think anybody disagreed with the way they went with it. But yeah, no, I mean, if anybody thinks Joey Porter Jr., I should say, is going to be in the starting lineup week 1, you're wrong. He's not. He's probably gonna be the 3rd or 4th corner. But that's also the right way to do it, because maybe come week 6 or 7, then he'll be out there. So Joey Porter Jr. is an absolute grand slam of a pick. And Broderick Jones, I mean, you can't underestimate the importance of a left tackle, especially when you have a young quarterback who's going in on his 2nd year. So,
So what's the final grade, Z, for the Steelers? I gave A+. What's yours?
I think my grade for them, I think I just gave them like a flat out A. I don't give teams like A+ in drafts. Just because like
you have before.
Who have I given A+ to?
The years before, you've given B-, B+. That's what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. The guy is absolutely freaking contradictionary as it comes.
So here's the thing: you're saying A+ in the way of, oh, these players are already going to be great. A+, every one of them is going to be solid. We don't know that.
I never said they were going to be solid. When I say they were going to be solid, they were all going to turn out. Never said that. I said that this has been their best draft in recent years because all 4 have the ability to have the upside to be very productive players for them. This isn't Dree Archer getting picked in the 3rd round here. Awful. You know, this isn't any of that. This isn't Senquez Golson. Awful. Idiot. This isn't James Washington in the 2nd round.
How's Sean Davis doing?
Yeah, Sean Davis doing. Never was big on him anyway.
I'm not going to give an A+ because like you can say A+ maybe for the value, but I mean, like, I think you got to wait to give an A+ to see how these players turn out. So I'll give it an A- to an A, which is still an outstanding 9.5 grade. I mean, I don't know how you want it any higher in, because I can't remember last time I looked at like one of these analysts and they give a team an A+ in the draft. Maybe an A+ for a pick, but not an A+ for the whole entire draft.
I mean, A+ have already been given out all over the place.
Yeah. Well, regardless, I think the Steelers did an outstanding job in the draft. And yeah, that's all I got for it.
All right, well, let's move on to the Ravens draft. Ravens didn't have too many draft picks. But the Ravens took with their first pick, Zay Flowers, which Ravens probably could have went a couple ways. They probably could have went maybe an edge rusher there. But I was thinking receiver because that was also the day they extended Lamar, and they're probably like, hey, we're not really going to be able to get DeAndre Hopkins here. Let's try to go get the receiver we think is the best on the board. And once Seattle took Jackson Smith and Jigba, that was kind of really the inclination, the hunch that, all right, these receivers start taking off the board, and four in a row went off the board.
Right.
So Ravens taking Zay Flowers. When I see Zay Flowers, I said to Z, I see a light version of Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
The guy that's got speed, similar size.
He's definitely bigger. He's bigger than Hollywood Brown. He's not as fast as Hollywood Brown, but he's definitely like a crispier route runner. Definitely has better hands. Anybody in the fucking NFL has better hands than Hollywood Brown. Freaking butter hands. So, but yeah, no, I agree with kind of how similar he is to Marquise Brown.
Yep. So they took Zay Flowers, wide receiver. And we know the Ravens have had a really hard time for quite a long time drafting wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
They just haven't been able to work out. Will this be somebody that does work out? Is to be seen. But then they did not have a 2nd round pick.
Right.
So in the 3rd round, they drafted Trenton Simpson, inside linebacker from Clemson. And I think Z, with the news coming out today that the Ravens did not pick up Patrick Queen's 5th-year option, I think we can say Trenton Simpson's the replacement.
Terrible. Terrible.
Well, Z, is Patrick Queen good as gone next season?
Absolutely. I'm interested to see if he even plays for them this season. You know, it was just the classic Raven way that when they're there, the best player that was on the board everyone was passing on Trent Simpson because they probably just didn't need him. And the Ravens were like, all right, fuck, we'll take him. And I disagreed with the pick very much. He's probably gonna be a nice player, but the Ravens don't need him. So it was just like why'd you take him? I don't even know how to grade the pick, to be honest. Because
I think there's some good things there to like about him. There's probably some things there, of course, that is a reason why he fell to the third round.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Patrick Queen is good as gone. So they drafted him. And then let's look at, was there any else noticeable to you, Z? Any other notable picks to you, not to me, but to you, that the Ravens took that you kind of liked?
The 2 offensive linemen they took in the 6th, 7th round, don't really care. 4th round, they took outside linebacker Tavius Robinson, don't really care. I think the corner they took, Caillou Blue Kelly, I think that's how his name is pronounced.
Yeah, from Stanford.
Yeah, I think he could potentially be something, but the other 3, I mean, obviously, I'm just so focused on the Trent Simpson pick. Zay Flowers will come into the year as like the 3rd or 4th receiver. But with Trent, I mean, we just got to see. I mean, like I hope they keep Queen on the roster just because in the case of if you really want to win next season, I mean, I don't need to go into how good Roquan and Patrick Queen are with each other. So, it's shitty that Patrick Queen's going to be gone, but at the same time, I don't know if he's even going to play for them this season. So,
why you think he'll sit out?
I think he just might trade him. Yeah, because what if he has a shitty year and then you're not going to get anything for him?
Yeah.
What if he gets hurt?
Well, they could. So it seems like is inside linebacker becoming an issue, Genzi?
No. The Ravens have the best middle linebacker in the NFL. So
aside from him, though,
aside from him, aside from him, at least now you have
LJ Fort, Tim Williams.
Yeah. The only reason why it's saving the Ravens defense right now is because they have Roquan Smith. That's the only reason. So anybody, like, as long as you can freaking breathe and you have your eyes open on the field, then I don't want to say we don't need someone the caliber of Patrick Queen because he's a really good player, but Trent Simpson's not Patrick Queen. So it would definitely be a downgrade, but
well, we'll see. We'll see what happens on that. So I think if you're a Ravens fan, you should be happy they took another wide receiver because they definitely needed one.
Mm-hmm.
Having Odell, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, Devin Duvernay, that seems like they're 5, correct?
Yeah.
So that seems like that's most likely going to be their 5. It's definitely probably, I'd say for Lamar, for as long as he's been the starter for, I'd say this probably has been their best group, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure.
So the question is, can Odell stay on the field?
Mm-hmm.
And can they get something out of Zay Flowers' rookie year? I think that's really important.
Here's the thing: is that it's not even just Odell. Can Odell stay on the field? Can Bateman stay? Can Bateman stay on the field? Can Dobbins stay on the field? Can Stanley stay on the field? Can Lamar stay on the field?
Yeah. They've
Jesus
had a lot of
Christ.
injury issues these last 2 years.
They have, and that's why I and I were having this conversation the other day. Is that, like, I feel like you could say this with any team in football or in any sport where, like, if they're all healthy, but especially with the Ravens and all the money they've invested in the high draft picks,
that practice field,
the practice field, all the money they invest in the practice facility, a new offensive coordinator. I mean, it would be nothing more than disappointing if they don't have like a top 7 offense next year. I mean, it's not even like, no, it's really not even a debate with the personnel they have.
Yeah. So I think the Ravens, for what they had, their picks, I didn't think they had a bad draft. They've had a lot better ones, but I think overall, I think a B- is a fine way to grade it.
Yeah, because last year I gave the Ravens draft like an A-. Because last year when they took like Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum and David Ajabo and I'm not going to go into all their picks, but
those first 2 picks can really turn out.
yeah. But yeah, I think B- is a fine grade.
Yeah.
Nothing really to raise your eyes for.
Nothing crazy, thing here, thing there. But yeah, so when we look at both teams' drafts, when we look at also the AFC North, Cleveland didn't really have many picks either, but they had a couple draft picks that weren't too bad for them. They drafted the defense tackle out of Baylor. I believe they also drafted a wide receiver that was projected to go earlier that didn't. Cincinnati, right. I thought draft wasn't too bad either. Drafting Miles Murphy, they got DJ Reed, the corner. They got Jordan Battle, I believe, the safety from Alabama.
Where did Jordan Howden go?
Jordan Howden. Let me see. Let me see.
I'm just gonna take a guess before you even say it.
All right. I'll tell you, he's in the NFC.
I'm gonna say he got drafted by.
He's a safety.
Yep. I don't know. I'm gonna say he got drafted by the Panthers.
No, he went in the 5th round.
He got drafted by the Rams.
No.
What division did he get drafted in?
South.
Okay. Green Bay?
They're in the North Sea, the South.
Oh, South. Oh, okay. Sorry. So I already said Carolina. Don't tell me Atlanta.
No.
Okay, so then he had to go to Tampa.
No.
Okay, yeah. Thank God. What's the other one in that division? Wait, hold on. Tampa, Carolina, Atlanta. Oh God, he went to the Saints?
He did.
So in case you guys don't know what we're talking about, I made like a funny joke one time. I think when N and I were going over our mock drafts with each other.
Yeah.
I went like all the way down to the bottom of the prospects, and I found Jordan Howden down there.
Yeah.
And when like and we were talking about like I think it was the Steelers pick. I was like, I had the Steelers taking Jordan Howden, and N's like, who?
Yeah.
I'm like, you know who Jordan Howden is?
Yeah. Yeah. Neither do you.
The guy's the 260th ranked player.
So yeah. So we were like wondering because he was just such a random player, and we're like, yeah. Well, we would just laugh really hard if one of our teams took him, but he's a safety. So I don't know, 5th round safety for the Saints. So there you go. So when we look at where the AFC North division is, it could end up being the tightest division in football. Do you agree?
Yeah. I wouldn't say that. No.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, in what way? Just like who's going to win it?
Just the win-loss race.
Yeah, no, I still got to go with like the Eagles and Cowboys, just because I think those are like just 2 Super Bowl caliber teams in the same division, and then I mean even with the Giants as well. So I think I still got to go with that division. But I think behind them, then I'd maybe put the AFC North. No, not the AFC South. Oh, it's a battle. It's a battle to 8-8 or 8-9, I should say.
Yeah, it is.
Awful.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I think that the AFC North is I mean, heck, even last year it got a little tight down there at the end. But really where the AFC North is, you have 4 teams that have, I don't even just want to say talent, I think just well-rounded out teams. So we'll start with the Bengals, rightfully so. Bengals, again, are going to be the favorite to win the division. Easily. They have not extended Joe Burrow yet. They have Higgins, Chase. They drafted another receiver in the middle of the round, Charlie Jones, Tyler Boyd. They tried to shore up a little bit of their offensive line. They lost both their safeties, but they got Dax Hill back there. They drafted Jordan Battle this year. And then they added another cornerback in the 2nd round. So, understandably so, the Bengals are going to be favorited. And I think with them is that can they go, because it's hard. It's hard. Like, even if you're, because the Steelers were there when the Steelers had Ben and Brown and Bell. They were the favorite every year to win the North. They pretty much were a double-digit win team throughout those years, even if they didn't win their division. But can they? This would be the third year in a row, right? If they won it this year, the third year in a row, they would win it. So it's hard to win your division 3 years in a row. We know they're going to have the toughest schedule out of everybody in the division. But still, I still like their team. They're still going to be an explosive offense. Joe Mixon, I don't really quite know what they're going to do with him, but I think they'll probably keep him around again for this season, maybe at least one more year this year, it seems like. But still, they're still going to have an explosive offense. Their other side of the ball, I think they have some good talent there. I don't think that they're a top 10 defense, but they're a defense good enough, I think, to help out their offense. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
So they've done a good job over the last 3-4 years of building what they were trying to build to. So the Bengals are favorited, and rightfully so. Let's go on to the Ravens. So we have the Ravens. Lamar's back on a 5-year deal, which was definitely an overpay, but the Ravens had to do what they had to do.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Not really sure why Lamar deserves that contract at all, but they had to do what they had to do. So let's look at the Ravens. We look on offense. Last year, they did a pretty good job in free agency, trying to rebuild their offensive line a little bit better. Ronnie Stanley. They still got Morgan Moses there. They lost Ben Powers this offseason. They lost him. And they drafted Tyler Linderbaum last year at center, who had a really good rookie season. And then they still got Kevin Zeitler. So Z, who's going to fill in at that other guard spot?
Here's the thing. If it's just kind of like the Eagles, if you lose like a left guard, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as long as you got someone who has some sort of knowledge in the game, that's fine. Who's gonna take over it? I don't know.
Probably I don't know anybody on the team.
Yeah, I don't know anybody on the team. Maybe. I would say either him or McCary, because McCary gets paid too much.
God, McCary, the guy's still on the roster.
I know.
This guy's been on the team since 2014.
I think he first came on the team in 2019.
Yeah.
He's been there.
All right, so it's gonna be one of those two guys again. Like if their line can stay relatively healthy, it's probably gonna be around what it was last year. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean you have like a top 5 left tackle. Last year you had top 5 center. Zeitler might be the most underrated guard in the NFL, and then Morgan Moses. I mean he's all right.
Yeah.
So
it is what it is, but it's an offensive line that Lamar can work with, their running backs can work with. We look at their backfield: J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. Isn't there another run back there?
Justice Hill,
yawn.
And that's it.
Yeah. And receiver core, we kind of went over that. It was definitely an upgrade over what they've had last year for sure. Tight ends, we know they love to utilize their tight ends with Andrew, Isaiah Oliver. Who's the other guy behind Oliver?
Isaiah Oliver.
likely.
Isaiah Oliver.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a player named Isaiah Oliver.
His name's Josh Oliver. Yeah, that's awful.
Do you think Jason would have known Isaiah Likely?
Not a clue. Not a clue. The other one is the other tight end they drafted last year in the 4th round. They took 2 last year in the 4th round.
Right, I remember
that. Charlie Collar.
I like Isaiah Likely. As your second tight end, I like him.
Yeah, he's nice. Yeah, I mean he's like kind of got that receiver build with him.
Yeah. No, I do like him there. So when we look at the Ravens offense, ultimately it comes down to is can these guys stay on the field? If they can stay on the field, it can be a really productive offense, I think. I think the thing I'm interested to see with them is we know Lamar's play style. How's it going to be with Odell? Because Odell is a guy that wanted $15 million. He got that, and then incentives to make up to that $18 million with the Ravens. The Ravens probably felt like, and I said this, when they signed Odell, number one, if you're a Ravens fan, you should have been happy about it. 1-year contract, see what happens. But number two, it also felt a little desperate in the sense of, dude, we need Lamar. We got to freaking do something here. Understandably so. They haven't done anything for 3 years to help them out with these receivers. So to me, it felt like a mixture of both. But with Odell, we know he's a guy that wants the ball. He wants to make the plays. He hasn't really he missed all last year. Yep. And then when he got traded to the Rams, he wasn't doing anything with Cleveland. When he got traded to the Rams when they won the Super Bowl, he did a pretty good job filling in for them. And then he got hurt in the Super Bowl. So aside from Odell's health, aside from how many games he's going to play, I'm interested to see how Lamar's going to play with him.
Right.
Is Odell going to is he going to be able to be the guy that he ultimately wants to be? Is he going to be held back by some health issues? Are they going to work together? Are they going to mix? What do you think, Z? What's your confidence level in the sense of Odell being like I don't know. Like Odell's not going to be the guy he was in New York. He's just not. Like he's
absolutely not.
He's older now. I always thought he was overrated anyway. But still, like he's still a receiver throughout his years that can be a productive wide receiver and make plays and have some electric type playmaking to him. What's your confidence level with him?
It's not even with him. It's just that the fact that let's not forget the Ravens have a run first offense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and as long as those two guys are healthy with Dobbins and Edwards, I mean, you can see what they do when they're on the field with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then also we're disregarding the Ravens have like the best fullback in the NFL, right? And with Patrick Ricard, and then you factor in Lamar who can run it. You know, the Ravens are going to be a run first always, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to have a menace who is upset because he's on a run first offense, I mean, in a way he was like that with Cleveland, you know, because this is Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. You know, and Odell, like I think in his first year with Cleveland, like just barely got over 1,000 yards, and like that's still a good season. But when you're in a run first kind of offense, it's kind of the way it's going to be. So, it seems like Odell, like, you know, is in good spirits. Like him FaceTiming Zay Flowers when they were drafted, him calling Lamar when he first signed with the Ravens. It seems like he's in a good spirit and doesn't really seem to care that much about just getting the ball, you know? Just because, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the locker room, so I have no idea. But
I know you think you are.
Yeah, I think I am.
See, they don't know who you are. Think about that. They don't know that whole organization, Harbaugh, Lamar. They don't know who you are. Think about that. They don't even know you're alive.
Kenny Pickett doesn't know who you are, and
no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. And
neither
that's
does
why
Mike
I don't get all
Tomlin.
caught up into it. That's why I don't let my day get ruined.
See, the thing is, when Ed and I play 2K, his day gets ruined.
Well, it's different. I said to Jason because we were supposed to play last night, but I was kind of tired, so I didn't even say anything.
That's fine. I went on.
I said to Jason when I was up with her like kind of last night, I'm like, well, with how this day's gone for me with the sickness and the freaking 4 Charlie horses in the thigh, I said if Z and I play, I'll probably lose every game 2K. So.
And his night will be even more miserable.
Yeah.
I truly don't have much to say about the Ravens offense just because I really don't know how it's going to be played out, especially with them having a new offense coordinator. That's probably going to be the most underrated story for the Ravens going into training camp. It's all going to be centered around Lamar returning, around Odell coming back from his injury. You have a new first-round receiver coming in. Your other receivers coming back from injury, and Bateman. And again, like, I mean, all their other star players that are paid very well, Andrews and Ronnie Stanley, I mean, Dobbins in that matter, they're not going to go unnoticed either. So, yeah, again, like, it's stupid to say, but the biggest thing is just if they're on the field. That's all it is. Yeah. If they're all on the field together, then yeah, they'll be a top offense. But if they're not, then that sounds about right.
Well, what'd you do if they weren't on the field again?
I mean, it's the Raven way. It's the Raven way. They freaking lead the league in injuries the last decade. So you might as well continue another year.
No, it's that practice field, Z.
Yeah,
just think about that.
Well, it's also the training staff.
Yeah, it is as well.
It is.
I don't know.
real quick, just to dive into
Yeah.
that. I'm not going to take a few minutes on that, but it was kind of like Ed and I talked about this one time on our channel about like how Raven players, current and former, mostly former, would go on Twitter and start bitching about, or maybe not even bitching, calling out the Ravens training staff. And like there was
Yeah,
one
I remember
there
that.
was one player, his name was Quincy Adaba Dejo or something like that.
Who?
Yeah.
Where is he now?
Well, you can thank the Ravens. He went on Twitter. Another guy named Bam Bradley and multiple others went on Twitter, and they're like when we got hurt in training camp, like the training staff forced us to go out there. And then you know what happened to those guys? They tore their ACLs.
I figured.
Yeah. So, anyways, that has nothing to do with the current state of the Ravens because that training staff is now gone. But
Probably never
yeah,
be rehired ever again anywhere.
no, I hope not.
Well, what do you think about Antonio Brown's tweet saying he signed with the Ravens?
Yeah, well, this has happened about 8 times. This has happened about 8 times. He's put a profile picture and him in a Ravens jersey.
Yeah.
He's never come back in NFL, and
But would you say he's a joke?
of course he is.
So when we look at the Ravens offense, really at the end of the day, health has been a big thing. Can they have a season where there's consistency of them on the field?
I went in, yesterday, when I was doing the video on my own. I and it was coming out having a war out of 2 ends.
Yeah, I really was.
How was that experience then?
I mean, see, it was miserable part of the year already.
I was talking about the Steelers offense, and I got pretty detailed and pretty passionate about it.
Still got to listen to this.
Yeah, where I gave the full rundown to it, and how I think a fair prediction is to say top 15 at their best next season. In the way of, I need to see a full season out of Najee. It's always, although, it's also the beautiful part about having a young quarterback, but it's also the uncertain part about having a young quarterback coming into his second year, especially as a full-time starter. When Lamar was going into his second year, which ended up being his MVP year, you know how many times he was doubted coming into it? It's going to happen.
He was what? Doubted?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's going to be the same way with Kenny Pickett now that he's coming into the season as the unquestioned starter. Never should have started Mitch Trubisky in the first place.
Never should have. I say it to this day, Z. He should have started week 1 against the Bengals.
Yep. And you're going to have some degenerates in here and on your channel freaking talking about, oh, well, I like Trubisky. I liked him.
Yeah.
No, I don't care.
He's ass.
I don't care.
No.
No.
High-end backup. Deal with it.
That's fine. That's fine. And when I was in your live stream, and I can't remember who said like, "Oh, we need to re-sign Rudolph." No, you don't.
I don't know who that was.
What do you need to re-sign Rudolph for?
He's done.
What do you need 3 quarterbacks on the roster for?
Z, I don't even think anybody's going to sign the guy.
That's fine.
I think he might just pop up in the XFL.
So, Mason Rudolph, see you later. You don't need more than 2 quarterbacks on the roster. Jesus, keep one on the practice squad. That's fine.
Yeah, they signed the undrafted. He went undrafted. Tanner Morgan, the Minnesota quarterback.
What'd you do if they brought Brian Lewerke?
Well, I guess I'll be send a message.
Or what about what was that ASU quarterback? Jane Daniels.
God.
Oh, he was awful. Here's my rundown with the Steelers offense.
Well, Z, you want to finish the Ravens here, and then we'll jump into the Steelers?
I thought we did.
Oh, well, let's talk about the Ravens defense.
That's fine. We can talk about the Ravens defense.
All right, we'll talk about the Ravens defense, and we'll jump to Steelers. So, Ravens defense, Z, they were one of the top teams in terms of points allowed last year, and they were one of the top teams in stopping the run last year. Their secondary was pretty bad throughout the year, got better toward the end. So when we look at where they're sitting at, defensive line, Calais Campbell is cut. Goodbye. They got Broderick. No, I'm kidding. Broderick Washington. They got Matabuke, correct?
Mm-hmm.
They got Matabuke.
Mhm.
Who am I missing on that defensive line here?
Last year's third-round pick, Travis Jones. Michael Pierce will
Okay.
be returning,
Michael Pierce.
and also Brent Urban.
Brent Urban. I feel like that guy's been on the team since 2016.
That's because he has.
No way. Is he really?
Oh, he left for like a year or two, but then he came back.
God. All right. So we're looking at the defensive line there. Okay. And then let's look at the rest of the front seven. We know Roquan Smith. God, why is he number 18? It's just terrible. That's terrible. That's
It's so
terrible
bad.
number for an inside linebacker.
It's so bad.
So bad. So they have him. We know Patrick Queen as of now. Trent Simpson.
Mhm.
Tyus Bowser. not BJ Ojolari. God. Ajabo.
David
Ajabo, who they drafted last year, and he pretty much missed the whole year because of an injury. So he's going to get a full offseason and camp.
Yep.
Odafe Owe, who I was told was the second coming his rookie season. He did nothing impressive.
Not by me. Me.
Ramey, Malik, Mo,
Nick Mason.
Nick Mason.
I need to look this guy up.
Dude, you gotta look. Just go in my replies on Twitter and just go look. You'll see him.
How do you feel about the Raven fan pages then?
Oh yeah, it's miserable. It's miserable. Even TikTok's miserable.
We hoop.
There's some cool Raven fans on Twitter, I'm sure, but like really the main ones, it's just absolutely miserable. I had to block Mo again. So, dude, it's funny because Mo all offseason was crapping Lamar and like EDC and stuff like that, and now he said nobody's stopping him. So
yeah, I mean he's the most hypocritical out of them all.
Well, he really is. He started watching in 2018.
Yeah, literally.
So, but yeah, so when we look at that, look at their edge rushers, Tyus Bowser. Is there anybody else from Justin Houston? But he's a free agent still.
Mm-hmm.
He's a free agent still. Am I missing anybody else from that group?
No, you're not.
Okay. So the Ravens front seven, my main concern for them for, I don't know, over the last couple years or so has just been the continual rotation of the edge rushers. They haven't been able to really get a solidified edge rusher in quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
They made the trade for Roquan Smith, which really once they brought him in, like it really shifted the guard for them.
Yeah.
Defensively. And then, like I said, they did a really good job last year throughout the year being a run type defense. Secondary was pretty poor throughout the season, and then they got better toward the final stretch of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at Kyle Hamilton, I think really the Ravens should be excited about him with the steps he made toward the end of last year. You have Marcus Williams back there still, Marlon Humphrey, who I still think has always really probably since he came on the scene has been a top 10 corner in the league. Marcus Peters is a free agent. They have not brought him back. They got, as of right now, I mean, they haven't really done anything at cornerback.
Yeah, they drafted 2 last year. They drafted another one this year. Other than that, but they don't have another veteran.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you think that they'll bring anybody in? You think they're just going to roll with some of these guys?
No, they're gonna bring somebody in. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
It might be Marcus Peters again.
Yeah. Well, so when we look at the Ravens defense, I think really them sticking with the pass rush they have is probably their weakness. I think their strength is probably you're looking at, again, just stopping the run. What the inside linebackers can do, guys they got on that defensive line. They got guys in the back that can turn over the ball, so and make some plays in the backfield. So, again, stay on the field, right? Stay on the field. And when you look at, I think really what they can do, I think that their approach defensively is probably going to stick around what they did last year. And the back end, again, they got some guys that can make plays. What are they can do that other corner spot, slot corner? You know, we'll kind of see if they decide to bring anybody in. But I think overall, I think the Ravens, and not just want to base it off paper, but really I think defensively they're coming back with pretty much overall the same defense that they had last year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much it. Like aside from their draft picks, like it's pretty much it. It's what they're doing. So I don't really know how much difference to expect from them. But I think they can be a defense that can. I don't view them as a top defense necessarily in the league, but I view them as, I think, a defense that. And what I mean by a top defense in the league, I think that they'll do a good job at being a team that stops the run, that keeps the team from making big plays in the field and stuff like that. I think they can be a team that can maybe be in the middle of the pack team of causing turnovers, stuff like that. I think that their defense, I think if their offense stays healthy, I think their offense will be more so the carrier of their team. But I think their defense as well can be a defense that can help them win games. I think their defense can be that a defense that complements their offense. I think that they'll probably be, I don't know, maybe in that, just overall, I'm not going specific category here, maybe that top 13 upper echelon. You agree with that?
Yeah. I maybe push top 10 because I think they finished like 5 or 6 last year. Like, I guess I should say like after Roquan. After Roquan, I think they finished second. But I mean, like you said, he changed everything for the Ravens, and obviously he's a next level player. So, I mean, the fact that Bears give up a second round pick for him, I mean, I don't understand that.
Bears are stupid.
So, no, I agree. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty about like the minor stories of like David Ajabo coming into his first full offseason healthy. Can Adafe Away bounce back? Like, yeah, I mean, that guy's ass. I mean, the Ravens too, like almost the most underrated players on their defense, which is Matt BK and Broderick Washington. I mean, I can almost guarantee that they'll have really good seasons just because they're on contract years. So,
you think one gets brought back?
One, not both. So, that's why if they trade Patrick Queen, I would very much disagree with it, because he makes the defense a lot better.
You think his value is?
Oh, God, I don't know. I truly don't know. I mean, his first 2 years really weren't all that, and then last year he had like an All-Pro caliber season with Roquan next to him, though. So like what's Patrick Queen truly on his own?
Yeah.
I don't know. If you would just dump him and trade him, I mean, what are you going to get out of him?
Yeah.
Maybe a third round pick.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I hear you.
And maybe a veteran corner.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on the defense. I don't really have much to talk about it. I mean, the Ravens' star players on their defense are stars, which if as long as they're out there playing every week, it will win the Ravens a lot of games.
Would you say Marcus Williams is a star?
I'd say he's top 7. So yeah, I think you could say he's a star. I'm gonna say superstar, but I would say he's tier 2. I think tier 2 is a safe place for him.
Is Tyus Bowser a star?
Yeah.
What do you think the percentage of America know who Tyus Bowser is?
And that's a 5 sack a year if I've ever seen it.
Well, I heard that he's a top 10 edge rusher. So
yeah. Well, again, every time we talk about somebody on the Ravens and talks about how they're top 10,
see, it's
top
a reality
5,
though. You have to admit it's a reality.
And I don't go on these Raven fan pages. You're the one that goes on them. They don't pop up my For You page.
I see you liking tweets from Ramey.
Yeah, from Ramey. I would love to know the last time I liked one of his tweets.
I'll go through it right now.
Yeah. Looks like we're going to be here for a while.
Yeah. Let me see. When's the last time you liked a tweet from Ramey? Let's see. It's here somewhere.
Well, looks like I'll go down the list with you.
6 days ago.
6 days ago?
Yeah.
Hold on. Which one was that? Let me see.
Tyson Williams.
Oh, that one? Okay, like whatever. Oh man, all because I freaking liked just like an old highlight.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Never forgot Tyson Williams was going to be the guy after one game.
Yeah. Again, I never said that.
Where's he at?
Who knows?
Yeah.
I think that's all the conversation about the Ravens. Like this podcast that we're doing, I'm not going to get down into the nitty gritty and the prediction of records and stuff. I'm not going to do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the state of the Ravens. They're definitely in a state to make the playoffs again. But again, I'm not going to reiterate it any more than we've already said.
Yeah, we don't need to do record predictions or anything right now. We'll wait till really.
Hey!
Yeah. Well, guys, that's exactly why Z doesn't come on the show. God.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I think just overall, really just where the Ravens are at is where I feel like where they've just kind of been over the last 2-3 years, like a team that's got a good overall roster, and the team that if they can, yeah. Well, why don't you put your teeth a little closer to the camera?
Yeah, what's wrong with them?
There's something there.
There's something in there.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with my teeth, and
yeah, go to the dentist. They say otherwise. Yeah, I know you haven't been there in 6 years.
It's been a while. It's maybe been longer, and
that's just absolutely horrendous.
I can't remember last time I went. I think I was like 17.
God. About all the plaque on there.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Z, feel like we'll end it there with the Ravens. That they, at the end of the day, just seem like that when we look at their team last year, it's really other than Odell and their draft picks really is where they're is really they're just kind of bringing back a lot of that same team. And don't know what you're squinting for.
I'm not even squinting.
Yeah, you are. It looks like the sun's in your eyes.
Yeah, the sun's in my eyes.
But anyway, I think, yeah, they're just still a good rounded roster that they just got to stay healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that better? And keep my eyes wide open.
Yeah. Keep them wide open. Don't blink. Don't blink.
Yeah.
See how long you can go without blinking.
Yeah. Well, let's start the timer once it hits 58 minutes.
Yeah, once it hits 58 minutes.
And here we go.
Yeah. Without blinking, Z.
I'm not blinking, in. I think I want to blink right now.
How dry are those eyes getting?
They're getting pretty dry. How long am I at?
You're at 15 seconds.
It's not bad.
There it is. Oh, God. All right, let's transition the Steelers here. We're not going to go into the Browns. We're not going to talk about the Browns.
No, we don't need to.
That. This is primarily us, Steelers, Ravens. I know we did a little bit about the Bengals, reasonably so. But with the Steelers, again, don't really need to talk about their draft. But when we look at the state of their offense, last year, the offense was just miserable. The offense was miserable. With Mitch Trubisky there, it just wasn't moving the needle. They brought Kenny Pickett in week 4 against the Jets in the middle of the game. And they threw him right in the fire because when they brought him in, the next games were Buffalo, Tampa, Miami, and Philadelphia. So they threw him in right in the fire, which isn't really an ideal situation for a rookie that's been sitting there, hasn't been working with the ones at all. I really think Tomlin blundered it. It's okay, Michael, to admit that you made a mistake. It's okay. He should have started week 1, 100%.
I said it all along.
Yeah, absolutely. But when we saw him come in, he struggled. He turned over the ball. And it was as well in a situation where they were already kind of put in a crappy spot with their first 3.5, 4 games with Mitch there. The defense was struggling big time. There was no TJ Watt there. Larry Ogunjobi, they had a couple other beat ups here there. So it really wasn't really a good stretch there ultimately. Now, that's not to say Kenny didn't do anything good during that stretch, but You could see certain decision making. You could see not even just certain turnovers, but in terms of certain plays, pass. I don't need to break it all down. It's going to take up too much time. But then came the bye week. And the bye week is when really things started coming together for him. It seemed like the game slowed down. There's certain things he did throughout the rest of the season that when you look at what he did there compared to earlier in the year, you can tell how much he adjusted. He only turned the ball over once the final stretch of games, the final 7-8 games of the season. He led him to, I think, a 6-2 record, had 2 game-winning drives. And he had, I think he finished the season with 9 interceptions. I know it was 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and then I think like 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns on the year. But really what I've said is that for him is that what he did the second half of the season is what you want to see your rookie quarterback do. He led him to 6-2 record, didn't turn the ball over. You saw the adjustments each and every game from really overall. I can go through every category. He had statistically one of the best passes down the field. But again, their red zone offense last year, throughout the entire year, was terrible. They could not get it in. And Matt Canada has been a guy the last 2 years that has been widely pretty much crucified about over the offense, and rightfully so. They're bringing him back for one more season. He's under contract for one more year. So I think with the way the Steelers ended the season, with the way they saw their offense progress, they decided to keep him around. Now, one thing I will say about the Steelers offense that was very, very encouraging and fantastic to watch was them running the football. The first half of the year, Najee Harris had a foot injury. He kept playing through it, but he was just not effective in any category at all. Still finished over 1,000 yards. The second half of the season, he was the Najee Harris of old, the Najee Harris from Alabama. He wasn't dancing around. He was hitting everything. He was breaking tackles. And he was and Jaylen Warren as well. Jaylen Warren was coming on the scene early on, and we said the first year, or Najee Harris's rookie year, they needed to bring somebody in because they couldn't be getting Najee or giving him the ball as many times as they did. Jaylen Warren is a really different running back than Najee Harris is, and that's something they needed. They needed a complementary piece. And Jaylen Warren seems to be that guy for as of now, and he made the most of every opportunity. So the Steelers were one of the best teams running the football the second half of the season. And it seems like with what Matt Canada wants to do, and even when you look at some of their offensive moves, that they're as well wanting to put and implement focus on running the football. So having them end the season at 9-8, starting 2-6 is pretty incredible. Mike Tomlin not finishing with another losing season. But when you also have on offense, you had an offensive line that was better than people thought, more so the interior, but it was an offensive line, man, especially that left side, that just had so many penalty killers, a lot of just lack of discipline. And now they've upgraded that. They drafted Broderick Jones, the left tackle. They brought in Isaac Sumala from the Philadelphia Eagles at left guard. Mason Cole did fine as their center. James Daniels had a really good season for them. And then Chuck Okorafor is probably their weak link, but you know, he's so-so. It is what it is. He's so-so. Got Deontay Johnson, who had a down year last year, didn't catch a touchdown pass. You have George Pickens, who overall had, I think, a good rookie season overall. Pat Freiermuth down there, he has transcended and one of the better tight ends in the league now. And then them adding Darnell Washington, a part of that group, bringing in Allen Robinson to be a veteran guy in that locker room, to probably be your third wide receiver. I like what they've done with the offense from last year. I really do. And I think their offensive line will take another jump. Absolutely. I think Pat Meyer did a really good job with them last year. Kenny Pickett's got a plethora of weapons. I still like Deontay. There's some reasons Deontay had a poor year last year, but I still think he's an effective player. George Pickens, expect to have a good jump year too. But they did what I said, Z, and I was telling you, and you even said the same thing. They need to go get a veteran guy for that locker room. They didn't need to go draft a receiver, another young guy. They brought in Al Robinson, who hasn't really done a lot the last couple years. But he's a guy that doesn't need the ball a lot. He's a guy that can maybe make some plays for them in certain moments. They also have Calvin Austin, who missed all year last year, so we'll really kind of see how they utilize him. But really the big thing for their offense is Kenny Pickett's growth in year 2. I think really most Steeler fans were encouraged by him the second half of the season, and that's what you want to see your rookie quarterback do, get better each week. And he's gotten bigger. I think he's put on like 10 more pounds on him of muscle and everything like that. So that's really good. That's what you want. But he's got the surrounding core around him of guys that can make the offense productive. They upgraded the offensive line to protect him more. Really the two big things for their offense is one, Matt Canada. Is Matt Canada going to make adjustments? Is Matt Canada going to take a step forward with this offense? Is the red zone offense going to get better than what it was last year? It really needs to be in year 2 for Kenny, making more plays, letting him make more plays down the field, variety of different things like that. So I think really at the end of the day, I'm excited to see what their offense can do and how it's going to be from last year. Kenny's going to finally get a full off season as the guy working with the ones and all those kind of things. So I'm excited to kind of see how he takes a leap. I hope he does. I know that he's already working with everybody. And there's no doubt in my mind that he's full on committed 100%, but it's going to come down to Matt Canada. It's going to come down to offensive efficiency. Kenny stepping up, making a leap in year 2. He doesn't need to be throwing 40 touchdowns in year 2, but again, he needs to take a leap from last year for sure. And I'm excited to see him do that. And I think he's going to do that in some capacity, but he's got a good core of young talent around him and like he did last year, but they added a little bit to that. And then they strengthened their offensive line even more. So I like what they did just really overall as a whole to help him, to protect him with running the football. And ultimately it comes down to those things, as I'm sure you agree, Z.
So you said in a good way where he's surrounded correctly, talent-wise. They've surrounded him very nicely. But all of the Steelers' success, especially on offense this season, is going to be because of Kenny Pickett. And that's why training camp into the preseason, they're good. They're going to be doubted. That's just the way. It's just the way it's going to be. You know, it's the way it's going to be when you have a fresh new quarterback who's now coming in on his second year and now officially the starter. But I mean, again, like I would be highly optimistic if I was a Steelers fan about Kenny Pickett and how he's going to play next season. And anybody else, and I know the Steelers and the Steeler fans won't care about it, what they say about, well, here's why I don't have them make it the playoffs because we don't know what Kenny Pickett's going to be. Oh, well, here's why I don't have them as a legit contender because we don't know if Kenny Pickett's going to be a turnover machine still. So, I'm very interested to see the development of Kenny Pickett. I mean, the rest of their offense, I like. Pat Freiermuth has developed into a very nice tight end, bringing in Darnell Washington, who's literally the size of like a freaking elephant out on the field.
Oh, dude, Najee's gonna love running behind him.
Yeah, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren backs him up nicely. Deontay Johnson just kind of seems like what he's going to be for the rest of his career. George Pickens will become a star. And as I said, with them bringing a veteran receiver, Al Robinson very much fits that mold, especially with what they gave up to get him. Mm-hmm. I'm not even going to factor in Calvin Austin because he hasn't played a snap yet. So they're surrounded well. Broderick Jones coming in, signed the left guard from the Eagles. Mason Cole mid. James Daniels, he's not bad. Okorafor is a joke. So
Okorafor is definitely not a joke. I know you have some vendetta against him, like I have against Bradley Bozeman.
Yeah.
He's really not like he's not that great. He's not that good. He's not bad.
That's Ends least favorite player in the league is Bradley Bozeman.
Yeah, it definitely is. He still is. So.
um, and that's all it is. And I mean, I understand the whole concern, if you will, with Matt Canada. I mean, freaking peanut brain.
Yeah.
That,
I did see. I would have fired him last year.
yeah, I know. Yeah, you were tight about him.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
care what anybody says. I'm not rooting for him to fail. I want him to get crap figured out.
yeah, that's why I think like at their best next season, they're top 15. I mean, like, here's where I think where they could push even farther is if like Deontay Johnson returns to how he really originally started his career. George Pickett makes that jump. We see a full healthy season out of Najee Harris. Like that three-headed monster, along with, a new revamped offensive line, which is a great thing. But it's just a lot of ifs. Allen
Well, it is.
Robinson.
That's why you gotta wait and see. But I think just at the end of the day, like what you said, there's a lot to be encouraged about. There's a lot to look forward to, and really see how it pans out.
Yeah, Allen Robinson, who's had a difficult path the last couple of seasons, truly, really not on his fault. With what he had to deal with in Chicago and last year, he wasn't even really healthy, and even the whole Rams team wasn't healthy. So we all know Allen Robinson's capable of, especially since he's still like 28 years old or something like that. And it's really just kind of a win-win. I mean, like you didn't really give up a lot to get him, so
No.
whatever happens with him.
Yeah. They can either move on or they can bring him back for another year.
But hopefully he does. Fortunately he does for the Steelers. Offer some bit of production, because if he doesn't, then I mean, who's going to be the third receiver? We have absolutely no idea.
Yeah. Now we'll see what they decide to do.
So, I am a little surprised that they didn't. I don't think they drafted a receiver, did they?
No.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised they didn't draft one. But I mean, yeah, they're just riding with the boys they have right now. They're riding with George Pickens. Probably going to be the number one receiver next year for them. But I do like bringing Darnell Washington. I don't know how good he'll be as like a receiving tight end. But especially as a
they'll get
block,
him involved a little bit. They'll get him
involved, but obviously he doesn't really offer game breaking speed.
No.
So
Pat Freiermuth's their guy.
I mean, he's probably more of a red zone target, which is fine because it's something they probably need.
Dude, just give him the freaking ball. Let him be a freaking bowling ball right at the middle.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not made of glass, then we'll be fine.
Yeah. So really, at the end of the day, with their Steelers, with their offense, they upgraded the line, and that, as I said, the left side they needed to do, and they did. Left tackle and left guard. Dan Moore, see you later. Kevin Dotson, see you later.
So now what it's all going to come down to is these two working together. You have a left guard who was on probably the best offensive line in the NFL, and now he's coming over to the Steelers and is going to be working next to a rookie left tackle compared to the left tackle he worked with before was like top 3 in the NFL. So like it's going to be interesting to see how those boys work with each other, OTAs, training camp, all the way through, into the preseason, because they're going to need all the reps they can get. Especially when you have a rookie left tackle. So I could see it pretty similar next year, where maybe the Steelers' offensive line does start off a little bit slow, because that's just the way it is.
They didn't start off slow last year, Z.
Well, they weren't the best.
I mean, they were the best thing of the offense.
Well, that's a low standard. When you have
that's a low standard. They were ranked. They finished the year like the middle of the pack of an offensive line. They got better, so.
That's what I'm saying. Like as the year went on, they got a whole lot better.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be the same way with this offensive line. Is they might not start off with how people view it, or how their fans view it, but over time, with continuity, I truly believe, especially with the offensive line, yeah, no, they'll be fine. They'll be good. I mean that's really all. That's really all I got for their offense. I mean, lastly, I've always been an advocate, a big fan of having 2 caliber running backs who can make game-changing plays. I'm not saying 2 starters, but two running backs who you can rotate like in and out the whole entire game. So we're going to see if Jaylen Warren is seriously up to that task, because he had a really nice season last year, and we're going to find out if that's what he truly is. But no, I think you unquestionably go with those two coming into the season. So.
Well, yeah. So their offense. Well, let's just put it this way, and we'll transition to the defense. The offense, the offense can be a pretty productive one, but Canada's got to get red zone efficiency a lot better. He has
100%.
He has to make different decisions and not keep it like, dude. Defenses were calling out his freaking plays.
Mm-hmm.
So really he has to ultimately, I don't think he needs to do a 180 on everything. But he needs to, especially when it comes to passing, he needs to get it up to date with the way some of these other teams are doing it. Not run, pass, not make it predictable. You can't. So Canada's a big factor in their offensive production. We know this. And Kenny adapting into his second year. Those are really the big things. Yeah. And this is exactly why you're called Noodle Hair. So freaking nest. Ladies and gentlemen, would you be surprised if Z had an egg in that hair?
Just got a haircut today, and
yeah, and it looks terrible.
It looks terrible.
They didn't do anything at the top, Z. Why do you leave that there?
I didn't ask for it to get taken off, and it looks fine.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Go on, I'm listening.
Just awful.
Awful.
Just cut it off.
How's that tsunami wave going on top of your head?
Tsunami wave. It's already passed by. But they got good talent. That's not the question. They upgraded the offensive line this offseason, did what they had to do. They have good young core of offensive guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's ultimately coming down Canada's production, Kenny transitioning his second year, and Steeler fans should be optimistic. They should be encouraged. And I think that they have the ability to do that. We just got to see it happen.
Right.
So transitioning to the defense real quick. Steelers defense last year honestly really wasn't very good until the second half of the season. Losing TJ Watt for half the year sucked. And I mean, Z, would you say TJ Watt's becoming glass?
Kind of.
I feel like he is a little bit.
Yeah.
It's the Watt genes.
Yeah, I know it is.
So I don't know.
How's Derek?
Yeah, he's not signed. So, but yeah, so when we look at their defense, Cam Hayward's still balling. Not really quite sure how much time he's going to keep playing for, but he's still playing at a high level. They brought back Larry Ogunjobi. They have DeMarvin Leal, who was a rookie last year, had some injuries. Not really quite sure ultimately what they'll do there. We know, as we talked about, they drafted Keanu Benton. He's going to get an opportunity to be a starter there. Looking at the edge, Watt, Highsmith, you can't go much better than that. Inside linebacker is probably the biggest story of their defense because they completely rehauled it. No more Miles Jack, Devin Bush, or Robert Spillane, thank God. So they brought in Cole Holcomb from Washington. They brought in Elandon Roberts from Miami. I still think that they could bring somebody else in on the market to at least be a guy behind them. The thing with Holcomb and Roberts is they're hitters. They like to do the dirty work, something the Steelers linebackers did not do. Devin Bush could not get off blocks. Miles Jack, just for some reason, was not the hitter he was. Robert Spillane was very limited. And with these guys, they're thumpers, man. And that's what the Steelers, it seems like, that they wanted. And don't really quite know how they're both going to do pairing off each other. But at least something that's nice is they have leadership. They were both defensive captains for their teams. And Cole Holcomb, not last year. He battled an injury last year. The year before, he had a pretty nice season for Washington. And then Elandon Roberts probably had a career year last year. So we'll see. We'll see what direction they go with that. That's probably the biggest story of their defense at inside linebacker. When we look at the secondary last year, they led the league in interceptions. They lose Cameron Sutton. They decided to move on from Terrell Edmonds, or he decided to move on probably. And then they brought back DeMonte KZ. They signed Patrick Peterson to a 2-year deal, and they drafted Joey Porter. So some changes on the defense. There's some that's the same, but I think Terrell Austin did a pretty good job at defensive coordinator for them last year. He's a secondary guru. And what they did with the secondary, they lost Cameron Sutton, Terrell Edmonds. Oh, and I forgot, they brought in Keanu Neal as well. So when we look to Steelers secondary, we'll start there. It definitely sucked losing Cameron Sutton. Pretty much everybody wanted him back. But I don't really think there's much of a drop-off bringing in Pat Pete. They're two different players. Patrick Peterson's age, I don't care. I've always said I don't care how old a player is. If they're playing at a high level, they can bring something to your team. That's exactly what Z looked like sitting there in class in high school. But if they bring something to the team, and if they can be a productive player, I don't care how old they are. I don't care. Patrick Peterson had a really good year for Minnesota last year. He's coming in here. I don't think there's necessarily much of a drop off there. Levi Wallace is also going to play at corner for them. When Levi Wallace was healthy, he kind of was just doing his thing that he's done with the Bills. He's not a make or break corner, but he's a guy that can be serviceable. And then Minkah Fitzpatrick, we all know about him. We'll see what they do at safety, because DeMonte KZ is not somebody that is playing Terrell Edmonds' role. Keanu Neal is going to play the Terrell Edmonds role, but DeMonte KZ is a guy that they can utilize and keep him in the backfield because he's a ball hawk. So I like kind of their mixture of guys that they brought into the secondary. There's a couple things they can do. I know Mike Tomlin said that he might use Patrick Pearson at certain moments here or there at safety. It really depends how creative they want to get, but I still like their secondary. I think it can still be one of the better secondaries in the league in terms of making turnovers, making plays. Led by Minkah, you can't get much better than that. And hey, if they stay healthy again, they'll probably be a team that leads the league in sacks again. I mean, they freaking do every year. The big thing again is stopping the run. Will the inside linebackers do that? I think they have a better chance to do that than what the Steelers had last year, especially because that's what those guys really specialize in. And bringing in Keanu Benton can be a possible starter. He's a really good guy with his hands. He can move. And the Steelers probably, yeah, I can't. Neither can you. That's why you're burnt toast. That's why you will be tonight. But they like what he can bring to the table. And hey, if he can be a guy that helps them even more with stopping some of these running backs, all the better. So again, we look at the Steelers. Their defense is really the highlight. And I think that if they can, TJ Watt stays on the field, and we'll kind of see how a couple of these other new guys kind of really fit in transgress, but they can be one of the better defenses in the league still. So that's just kind of really, really where they're at. And I think really what I liked about the defense this year and what they did is they did some things that they wouldn't normally do. I feel like if Kevin Colbert was still there, Miles Jack would probably still be on the team. Might not have brought in a guy like Pat Pete. They probably would have just stuck to the draft and tried to build around those guys rather than what they did, rehauling the whole linebacking group inside and bring in a couple DBs that they think can add to what they want to do. I think, again, it all comes down to health. If they can stay healthy, they can still be one of the better defenses in the league.
Yeah, like always.
Yeah,
they'll have a top. They'll have a top defense. Just the only thing with their defense is compared to years past, I just don't know if they have the depth as they once had.
Edge, they don't really edge. Like I said, they need to bring somebody in. When secondary, I think is okay on that, but edge, and again, that's the thing with the inside linebacker, we have to really see how Holcomb and Roberts really fit in, how they play off each other.
Right. I mean, you always got to keep an eye on an aging defensive lineman, Cam Hayward. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Steelers take another defensive lineman high next year. But in reference to their two middle linebackers, I mean, I'm very intrigued to see how that works out. It's definitely not a bad thing to have those two guys. Both play callers for their defenses who they were previously on. But we're going to see especially how they fit in together because they both have kind of a similar play style. So, we're going to see how they fitted together because the thing is that Roquan and Patrick Queen, they don't really have a similar play style. That's why they fit so well with each other. Patrick Queen was awful in coverage, and that was a big reason with what Roquan helped with. Can these two? Is it big hitters? They love hitting the A gap. They love going after the quarterback. They love playing the run. But how are they going to help? What would really probably help the Steelers is if you bring an inside linebacker who's maybe more of a pass coverage guy. That'd be just fine.
Yeah.
Outside linebacker. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to address the TJ Watt injury situation. I don't think that alarms me too much. But with Highsmith coming to a contract year, that's huge. And now you have a rookie as well. I would like to see them bring in a veteran as well. When they brought in Melvin Ingram a couple years ago, that was a disaster. So bring in somebody else.
Well, he's just a freaking baby.
Yeah. With their secondary is good. Keanu Neal, who was kind of a disappointment when he was on the Falcons, then he went to the Bucks and he wasn't that bad. KZ's a pretty underrated player. We know who Minka is. We know who Pat Pete is. Levi Wallace, who was solid on the Bills, at times last year was disappointing for the Steelers, but kind of picked it up. And now you have one of the top cornerbacks from the draft on the team. So I love that they brought in Joey Porter Jr. to the correct situation. I think he's in the perfect spot. How good will that secondary be? I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure how good that secondary will be.
It's gonna be fine, Z. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean it'll be fine, but what the question is how good it'll be down the stretch. How does Joey Porter develop, and what does he turn into? Does he become a starter at some point in the season? Does Keanu Neal play a full season? So
the good thing with Keanu Neal though is that they don't need to play him every freaking down.
No, they don't. But I mean, again, who's going to take over that Terrell Edmunds role?
It's gonna be him,
right? So if he's not on the field, I mean,
well, that's just going to depend on the situation. That's what I mean. He's not gonna Edmunds was on the field even in passing downs, et cetera, et cetera. Keanu Neal is definitely going to come up more, play more of that box type role. See what they do with Holcomb and Roberts and stuff like that. But I think that what they have on their team right now is they got some versatility. They got some things they can do. Mm-hmm. They can move some guys around here and there. Like Keanu Neal, Kazi, whatever they want to do with Pat Pete. I don't know. I don't even know if they might utilize Levi Wallace in the slot. I really don't know.
Yeah.
But I think they're secondary in the sense of creating splash plays, turnovers. That's what they wanted more of, going into this year. Even though they led the league in it last year, I think they wanted to keep that this year, and that's really why we see some of the decision making that they did in the secondary. Like Terrell Edmunds wasn't a ball hawk. Terrell Edmunds didn't really make the splash plays.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm just definitely going to keep an eye on just their personnel. I mean, it does kind of raise my eyebrow for the depth they have on their defense. Their starters are fantastic, but don't be the Cardinals fans where, we have starters, we don't need backups.
No, I think their secondary is okay with that. When it comes to, like I said, edge, they could use somebody else and they could bring another linebacker. I think they'll do something.
Freaking the fan base, the reason why the Cardinals are gone downhill.
Well, that guy probably didn't even think they needed a draft.
No, they didn't. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, the Steelers defense will be fine unless it just becomes an absolute disaster on freaking, on the injury list. But that's something you never really think of going into a season. So
no, you have to keep it with how it is.
Yeah, I mean, so that was Ed and I's full kind of rundown of the Ravens and Steelers. Gave a little insight on the Bengals. Could care less about the Browns. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Appreciate and letting me come on the In Hindsight, the In Queer site.
Yeah, there is. You might tease some people off of that one, Z.
Yeah, well,
it's all right. You've said 10 times worse than that. So
yeah, well,
but yeah, I knew this was gonna be a long episode. When we kind of break some things down, It's bound to be a longer episode. So for those who stayed throughout the entire hour and a half, thank you. Probably not many, but thank you. At the end of the day, wanted to create a video, bring Z on, especially with how our last video went. But at the end of the day, though, some good conversation, really stating where, talking a little bit about both teams' drafts, where both teams are kind of at. I think if the Steelers, I think they have the ability to be a playoff team, the ability to be a team better than what they were last year. There's certain factors that they have to kind of really nail down in the sense of really more offense. Like, can he really adapting, transitioning into year 2, and can Matt Canada make the offense more productive? But they have the ability, I think, to be a double-digit win team, to be better than what they were last year. They just got to get a couple things in place, and those are things we have to wait and see on, really. But I'm excited about their season and everything like that. So we'll just kind of see how it goes, see how things over the rest of the offseason goes. Don't know why the NFL has to have such a long offseason. Meanwhile, NBA's all year, NHL's all year, baseball's almost all year. Like I just don't get it. I really don't. Like why can't things pick up a little bit over the summer? I don't understand.
They got to rest in. They got to rest.
Yeah, they got to rest. I mean, see, they got 5-6 months rest, so they all look fine to me. They play once a week for an hour for 4 months. So.
Well, yeah, again, appreciate it and letting me come on. Hopefully you guys enjoyed me being on. Maybe one day I'll be back. If you guys don't want me to be back, then make sure you let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know in the comment section. So, but at the end of the day, guys, that's gonna be it for episode 84, I believe, of IHS in hindsight.
Flag football night. Flag football night.
Z's actually playing a game of flag football, so good luck on that. Game 2 finally is here, and we'll see how it goes. So Z, thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, it was my pleasure, and hope to see you guys again. Appreciate you guys letting me come in.
Yep. Well, guys, subscribe to our podcast. Who are these guys? Link will be in the comments. Z can go do his thing and look in the mirror and do that to himself. So, Wonka, if you're watching, Z, I already know how the story's gonna end. So, but we'll see you guys later. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you all.